it's Judy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm showing you how I edit my videos. Now this is probably not the perfect way. This is the way that I've learned how to do it, and I've learned how to do it all on my own without a huge amount of help from anyone else. I use iMovie, and all the software that I use comes either free with the Mac or is downloadable from the internet for free. So there are certain limitations that one gets with free software. However, I thought it might be useful for some of you to see how I edit and upload my videos. So if you're interested in hearing about this, then please keep on watching. Okay, so I start with a new movie recording. In this one I've already done my base and eyebrows and most of my makeup, everything except for my eyeshadow. And I shrink it down so that it's in the middle of my screen. For some reason, because I'm also doing a screen recording, it's moved it across to the left, but I think I can make it work. I need to just double check what's in my background, see that my position is okay, and then I just turn on this side light, which provides a little bit of warmth off to the side of my face. So then I start videoing. Now I'm videoing a silent recording. Usually I do this if the traffic outside is too big or my daughter is at home watching things on YouTube, because it just makes things a little bit easier. Can't stop thinking of your diamond. So I'm going to fast forward through some of this because it'll take too long for me to do. If you want to see the whole video of how I came up with this look, then I will link that. I'll put it up as a card and I will link it up in below. Oh, you can see that here I dropped a brush, so I now have to start the video again. I'm just going to keep it going and get going on it. So I videoed the entire look. So now we're getting to the end of the video. And now what I do is I stop this recording and I save it. Try to find a unique place to put it. I'm just going to save that as part 1 at the moment. Okay, so while that's happening, I start a new recording because I'm now all made up and I need to do an intro. So I start that going. Again, I'm going to fast forward through this bit. And that's where the intro finishes. So I now stop that and save that. And I saved it as outro. I should have saved it as intro. So now I have 2 files that are saving. Both are saved. So now I'm going to open part 1. Make it smaller. And then I'm going to start an audio recording over the top of it. So while it plays back the original video, now I'm going to fast forward this bit because I forgot to actually hit record on the audio recording and I did the whole voiceover without recording it and had to go back and do it again. So fast forward through all of this. So at this point I realized that I hadn't actually recorded the voiceover. So I'm having to start it again. I went and double checked to make sure that I really hadn't. And this time I actually did start the recording. Got to a point where I was no longer faffing about and kicked off the recording again. So at this point I just kind of follow what I'm doing on the video until it gets to a point where I'm happy with it. So I will probably stay silent and then cut out bits until I get a voice recording that I'm happy with, that matches the thing, matches the video. So I'm now going to again fast forward through this bit. Okay, and at this point I stopped the recording because this was where I needed to save it. So part one voiceover. Simple and straightforward. So at this point I go into On the Rocks. It's really important that you make sure that you have all of your various clips that you need. See, there we go, intro. Done. Right. So now we head over to iMovie. And I need to go to Projects, create a new project. Don't ask me why, but this doesn't always work. I have to click several times in order to make it work. And this takes me into a new project. So now I need to upload my media. So I go back into the folder that I created before and I select everything and I import it all. Check to make sure I've got the various bits and pieces that I need. And then I drag my first clip into my slider, second clip in. Now I need a transition at the beginning and a transition between the two pieces, and then I know I need a title, and I have a standard title that I use. I know that this fade in needs to be quite long, so I make it 10 seconds long. And then I extend out my title to around about 8 seconds. Put in another transition. You can see that shortens the original fade, so I've got to lengthen that again. That shortens the original title, so I have to lengthen that again. And I know that in order for my music to kick in at about the right place, my fade in needs to be about 8 seconds long and my title needs to be about 8.2 seconds long. So just play that to make sure that that works. Right, so now I can start editing, and what we want to do is clip out all of the blanks or speed up the blanks depending on what I'm trying to do. In this case, edit out the blank at the beginning of the video. Put the title in. Am I putting the title in now? Okay, yeah. So we're going to put the title in. Make sure that's small enough that it doesn't wrap around when the video starts. Test. Constant testing. Okay, that works. So now it's just a patient case of going through the whole video bit by bit and editing out various things. The first thing I'll edit out is an I get to build up the patterns. I get to learnt where the patterns for an are. So I just put the line where I want it, do Command B, and that clips it out, and then delete that section. There we go. There's another bit that I want to cut out. So make it bigger. Find the bit that I want to cut out. Command B. Finish the second half. Command B, then delete. Make sure it works. Oh, there's obviously something I'm not happy with there. So try and find the beginning of the word, where it is that I want to start from. Sometimes that takes a little bit of hunting around to find the right bit. I've made this as big as I possibly can. I think that's where I want to cut it. Delete that out. Now listen to it again. Yep, happy with that. So move on as okay. Here we go. Another piece. Until it breaks. Okay, we're going to fast forward through this. Where you still grow. Right, so there we are. We've got to the end of my intro track, and what I want to do is just cut out all of this remaining silence. I'm going to clip it at about here and delete this chunk out. And then this gives me a good place to start. So first thing I want to do is bring in that audio clip, the voiceover, and work out where I want to start the voiceover clip from. Right, so this is where I start talking. So I'm going to try by clipping this bit out, and then I'm going to try and find where it is that I'm starting from on the actual video, because you remember I faffed around for a bit at the beginning. And then I remember that I've got that bit where I dropped the pencil. So let's go down. Okay, picked up the pencil. Almost ready to start again, and we're going to clip it. Where am I clipping it? I thought I'd stuffed up at this point. Right. So find where I'm going to clip the video from first. Try and get it so I'm not pulling any strange faces. There we go, somewhere around here. There we go. So we'll lose that first section of the video. Oops, that took out the audio. Slight drawback of iMovie is that if you delete the video above an audio, it will take out the audio, but that's okay. Just add it back in. And now I need to find out where I'm going to start the video. What I want to try and do now is match up the voiceover from where I started it with the video. So I started talking. Where am I going to trim it? Okay, so I'm going to just trim the audio, trim some off the front of it, because I don't need that much. And then I'm going to pull this back and try and match up the frames with the voiceover. Reduce the volume on that other track. Let's see. Okay. It's not soon enough, so I need to go back further. Right, need to take it back to here. So pick it up, drag it back, play from the beginning, see how much I need to trim, if any.
No one can save us now.
Okay, I'm actually quite happy with the way that that's all strolling together nicely. Seems to be about lined up. Now, I've got this blank bit of where I haven't spoken on the voiceover. So what I do is I click both, hold down the shift key to click both the voice track and the movie track. And then I can just click off both, click on the audio and delete that. And that gives me video without any audio. I can now speed this up. So now when I play it, we get the voiceover and then we get a fast bit. So now I've got this bit where I'm voiceovering over the top to say what colour I'm using next and what brush I'm using. And then I've got this blank bit coming up again. So again, I'll click on the video, hold down the shift key and click on the voice track. Here we go, click and click. In this case I've done them two separately, but that's okay. And then I can do the same thing at the other end. Click and hold both of them, Command B, and that takes out, that snips the clips, and I can then remove the voiceover and speed up the video. This is a long section, so I've sped it up by 4 times the normal speed. And now I'll just continue going through the entire part 1 in the same way.
Us now. I'm letting go of the weight that pulls me down. Time after time I said you made me feel something new. Lie after lie I told, I made you believe in me too.
Okay, so here we're getting to the end of the voice track, and I'm just going to delete the blank audio off the bottom of that, and that'll allow me to speed through this last little bit. Okay, so I start talking at some point through this, so I need to find out where I start talking. So I need to increase the volume on this track. Just wait for a little bit for the bulb to dawn that I need some voice. Here we go. Bring the volume back up to 100. and that shows me approximately, annoyingly. Okay, here we go. I think this is where I start talking, somewhere around here. So we're just going to play it and see if this is where I start. Take two. So there we go. I've got to find the beginning of take two, which is about there. So I'm going to pause it. Check to see that that's about right. I'll clip it out. Now I can lose all of that stuff that I didn't need. Put in a transition. And I just want to mute that little sigh out. So I've split it, cut the volume, again check it.
I know we can find a way if we close our eyes. We can stay on forever.
Another little clip here that I'm just going to speed up. So Command B puts in a clip, reduce the volume, speed up that particular little section, and it works. And we'll just fast forward through this little piece again and get to the end of editing at this point. And there we go. I'm coming to the end of my first edit of this particular review. Okay, so again, just the final trimming up. I need to put in a transition at the end, which always clips off the end of the video. And then I need to put in an end title. Thanks for watching. Make it smaller. Make it slightly smaller too. I always put a fade on the end of the titles because it means I can control how long the fade is. And I want my final fade to be around about 6 seconds long. Just gives enough time for the music. Right, I'm going to fast forward through this bit because I started to put on audio and then realised that there were some bits and pieces I was missing. So let's scroll forward a bit till I take out the audio. Okay, so I needed to save this, and then what I need to do is Yesterday I created a little miniature video of the swatches. So I need to find that little video. Oh, don't know where that came from. No, that's not the swatches I'm looking for. Right, so okay, so this is the swatch I'm looking for. So I need to highlight that video. File, export unmodified video. Export it and put it into the On the Rocks folder so that it's with the rest of the stuff. I have no idea who those two photos are of, but so we'll get rid of them because I don't know how they have appeared in my cloud. Okay, so now I'm going to open GIMP. And I have in GIMP format 2 files that I've created in the past. Just need to see if I can find them. In documents, I need up names and down names. And these are 2 fairly simple files with clear backgrounds. And this allows me to create the names of the eyeshadows. Imagine things so wrong. Sorry, just having a bit of an argument with GIMP here. Okay, so now I can go in and edit the names of the eyeshadows. Delete the drop shadow from the previous one. Add a new drop shadow. Say OK to that. File, export as. Save it in the correct location. Movies, On the Rocks. Sorry, just again arguing with GIMP. Export that one with the defaults. Switch over to the down arrow. Next name. Take out the drop shadow. Add the new drop shadow back in with the defaults. File, export as Moscato. And put it in the same place. Now that I've done that with both the up arrow and the down arrow, GIMP will remember that that's where I wanted to save them. So the whole process now becomes quicker. Delete the old name, all except the first letter, in order to keep the formatting. Put in the new name. Take out that first letter. Remove the drop shadow. Add in a new drop shadow. File, export as, put the name in with the defaults. Slip over to the down arrow. Next one. Take out the drop shadow. Add the drop shadow back in. Okay, so GIMP occasionally crashes. That's okay. So we just export as, put the name in. Now I'm going to fast forward through the remaining names because this takes a little while. The whole process is relatively quick, but it can take a while. You know, we've got 12 names to add here.
I've been a little more than you can handle. I know I apologize for all the things I did to you.
Okay, so we've just got to the end of creating all of those names. So now I'm going to go back to my project. This is the new project. This is the swatches that I created, and now I'm adding to it all of those arrows. So we bring in the video and we find the best bit of the clip where I capture most of the best shot of the colours. And there we go, that gets me the lightest part of the arm. So clip it there, remove the first bit, then we're going to find the end bit. Okay, so it finishes about there. Clip it and delete that. And then we're going to make this slower. Copy all of those and drag them down onto the line. Now, I couldn't get them to stick above the video, and for some reason they did all of that, so let's copy them and put them back on the other side, and then I can move them across one by one.
It's true, I've wanted.
Butt them all up against each other.
Oh, it's you. I've wondered if you'll ever follow. It's true, I've wanted to run so far. Oh, it's you.
And then it wouldn't let me layer them on top of each other, so I had to deal with the first ones at the beginning of the video first. So what we want to do is we want all of these to be 2 seconds long, and it won't let me do them all as a group, which is really annoying, but you know, this software's free. So scroll back to the beginning of the clip, select the first one, shorten it to 2 seconds. What? Hang on, that's the beginning of the first one, right? Let's move that out of the way. Right. Take it down to 2 seconds. Right. But the next one up against the first one. Find the end of it. Scroll back down to 2 seconds. And so on and so forth. So now that I've got all of those clips in, I'm going to select all of those, because now there are some attributes that I can change on each of them. First thing is to make them picture in picture, and then to make them fit. And now I can start working on each individual one. So here we are. I need to click on them, resize it so that you can actually see it in the final thing. So you see, it's just a case of going through and resizing them and putting them in the right place. They just need to be big enough for people to read them when they're on the big screen. So I want to make sure that that word is within the frame. But I'll fast forward through this bit now that you've seen the gist of it.
See the splinters in the sapphire skies. I need to find myself in your shadow. Find myself when your fragment shows.
At this point now I'm just fine-tuning, and now I'm going to run the whole clip and just make sure that the arrows are all pointing to the right colours throughout the whole of that particular clip. Okay, last call isn't quite in the right place, so I'm just going to move it. Play it, just double check. Yep, that'll do. Okay, so now I need to save that. And there we go, that's now saved. And now I need to export that to a file. Into On the Rocks and save it as swatches. So now I can go back into On the Rocks and scroll back to the beginning of the video and decide where I want to put those swatches. I think I need to put them in before I start the actual work, so I think it's going to be somewhere in this section here. So I'm just going to expand it out and see if I can find a suitable gap for that clip to go in. think somewhere around here is going to be the ideal place. So expand it out so that I can really get in between the words. Check and check again. Put in a gap, and then so that I can remember where that gap is, put in a transition, and I'll come back to that later. Okay, so I'm just going back into Project Media, and I'm now going to import this Swatches movie into the On the Rocks movie and work out where I'm going to put it. So I think I'm going to put it here, but I'm not sure just yet. Oh yes, I've cut a hole in the video about where I want it to go, so I've got a fade in. I need to put a fade in after it, and then reduce the volume on it and just see how that pans out. Am I happy with its fitting in the video? Okay, I'm happy with the way that that's panned out. The flow seems to work. So now I need to add my audio. I'm going into my music folder, and I'm going to take my first track and place that underneath the beginning of my video. Now I know that because I already know where my music pans out and how it works. I think this is going to be about accurate, so I'm just checking to make sure that that's the case. It seems pretty reasonable. So cut it there, and then reduce that down to 50%. We want the intro music to fade into the first clip. And just play that off and make sure that it's okay. Yep, and I'm happy with that. So now I know that the first song finishes at around about 3 minutes 22 or thereabouts. So I'm just going to play through until I hear the end of that first track, because that's the only track that I want from this particular clip of music that I've got. And it finishes at about there. So make it large, and I know that this is where that ends, where that particular music ends. So I will just clip it there and delete the rest of it. So then I will pick up my second track and drag that into place. Also make that 50%. Yeah, so far happy with that. Let's make this a bit smaller so I don't see what's going on. Right, so now I need to make the music go louder for every time I have a bit that's sped up. So I just go round to the beginning and ends of each of these clips with rabbit on it. That denotes where my speeded up bits are going to be, and they're the bits that I want to be loud. So again, Command B cuts that particular track. Check to make sure the length of the rabbit video is, the faster bit is sufficiently large enough. Generally I don't increase the music unless the clip is over 5 seconds, which all of these appear to be. Just double checking that I've got the right music track. Yep, I have. And then clip off all the stuff that I don't need at the end. Delete that. Now, all of those pieces where I'm talking over the top, I can't have any louder than about 3%. Okay, so now all of the bits and pieces where I'm talking, I need them to be at about 3%. I find 3% is just enough to cover up the traffic noise that you can hear behind me when I'm speaking, because I live on a very busy street. So I'm just going to select all of the ones that are not speeded up and universally reduce the volume down to 3%. Okay, now that I've done that, I can just go through and double check that I have taken the music where I want it to go. And I'm fast forwarding through some of these. And this is where I realise that I haven't adjusted the volume for this piece. So I want to, halfway through the fade out, I want the music to start, and halfway through the fade in, I want it to start again. So we bring that back up to 50%. Now I'm going to take it a bit higher, obviously. Let's double check to see what that looks like. Yeah, pretty happy with the way that works. I think I just want it to fade in a bit into that swatching bit. So we'll give it a second to fade in, approximately, and a second to fade out at the end. Yeah, that'll do. Again, test. Yeah, that works. So continue to scroll through. I'm just checking the transition between the two tracks of music, and that seems to work smoothly, but I just want that final track to fade out a little bit more. So again, start it off and let it fade out, and that now sounds pretty seamless, so I'm happy with that. Now at this point I realised that I probably should have sped this section up, but I forgot, and if I do it now then I've got to redo the music, so I'm just going to leave it. And here I've realised again that the music doesn't fade up again. So I'm going to split that, bring the volume of that back up to 100%, and then fade it in from the main video, and then fade out at the end. Yeah, 3.5 seconds should suffice. So play that and make sure I'm happy with it. So I'm now happy with that one. I can save that, and we're now going to share that to YouTube. And I share it as a private video. so that I can then make adjustments before it goes live. So final thing before I go any further is I need to play the whole video, well, play the video on a full screen. I pause it when it gets to the top. I then grab that screen and that takes a photo of it, and that will be my thumbnail. And then I realise that I'm about to quit iMovie, and if I do that it'll stop uploading. So, show activity, it's writing it to YouTube. Okay, about 45 minutes has passed and it's uploaded to YouTube, and I can now go to my video manager and check out my video. I'm going to click on custom thumbnail, customize thumbnail, and put up that thumbnail that I grabbed off the screen. Change the simple title to the one I want it to be. And write in my description. This is probably the hardest bit of the entire video, is writing the description. And once I've written the description, I then need to write in all of the brushes, and I usually try to put in as much information about the makeup that I've used. So you'll see that unfold.
I don't wanna fade out of your memory, your memory. Hold up, I know I had my doubts, but I want to fade back into your memory, your memory.
And finally, I'm just going to put in some tags. The ideal is to put in as many tags as you can possibly think of. You want as many excuses for people to come across your video as possible. Now I'm going to schedule it. I've got another video scheduled to go live on the 18th. So I think my plan is that this one will go live on, well, let's make the 21st. At 7 o'clock in the evening or thereabouts. Add a message so that it goes up onto Twitter and Google+. And then I have a playlist of makeup so someone can see all of the videos that I've made about makeup. Right, so that's ready to be published. Just going to go back into it and put some end screen information on it. So this is what comes up at the end of the video. Click on add an element, and we're going to add a video or playlist, and YouTube will allow me to choose which one I want or just the most recent upload. I'm trying to decide where that's going to go. And then I want to add a subscribe option, and because I've pointed down to this corner of the screen, that's where I want it to go. Yeah, not sure about that. I think I want that most recent upload to be there. Cancel, hang on. Save that. And then we're going to go to cards. Now, cards allows you to link other videos that you've done. So I'm just going to scroll through to approximately where I want the video to run. where I want the card to run. And what I want to do is point it to another one of my W7 uploads. So let's go back to where I show the palette. Doesn't really matter where it shows, but it is kind of nice. And of course the one I want to link to is the one that's going live on Monday, so I can't link to that one at the moment. So I think what I'll do is I will link to the W7 Blazon palette versus the You Can Be heat palettes. And then later on, where I've come back and said that I've done all my makeup, I'll just add, let's watch it through. So about here, I just want to link to the Makeup Revolution, the first impression of the Makeup Revolution Pro range, because in the description I've mentioned that a lot. And that is my video now ready to go. So that's the palaver that I go to every time that I need to edit and upload a video. I hope that you found it very useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there and join me on future adventures to do with makeup and lots of other bits and pieces coming soon in the future. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. Bye!